Well, hell, howdy, and well met, everyone. Welcome to Chapter 3 of Frontiers of Eberron, Institutional Change. I am your Dungeon Master, Michael St. Gregory, and alongside me, I have the wonderful Wormwatch crew themselves. Let's do a little quick round of introductions, starting from the left to the right, and then down.
Hello, everybody. I am Victor _ the Story Weaver. You can find me with that handle on the TikToks. And I am currently guest starring playing Ichabod, a Dampier monk who just recently learned the person responsible for his transformation. And he got a little angry about it and a little flurry of blows kind of madness. So, yeah.
I moved you, Matt, just because I was still trying to get the. There it is. Okay, I wanted to get that in there just so I know it's. All right, Evan. I mean, Ren.
Hi.
You are Evan. You're playing it.
Yes. Yes, it's fine. Don't worry. Hi, I'm Ren.
It's been a minute, folks.
Playing Evan, a druid who is slowly accepting her fate of having to be here. You can find me on TikTok at MaskRen and Twitter at Allegory of Death. Hi.
And next up.
Hello, my name is Taylor Renee, also known as Nerdy Pinup Girl on TikTok and all social media platforms. If you like cosplay, nerdy D&D stuff, special effects makeup, make sure you follow me. I am playing Ivara, who is the Witch of Wormwatch, a wonderful subclass made by the amazing Neo Soul God, so please go check him out on social media platforms as well.
And last for now, but certainly not the final member of our party, as we are just anticipating the arrival of Dia. Matt, who are you?
Hi. I'm Matt, also known as Wartorn Knight out on the interwebs. I do some nerdy D&D shit on TikTok and other things that I'm going to start doing now. I've been getting over being sick, so give me a moment. Anyway, for this evening, in our wonderful Weird West campaign that we all love so much, I have the pleasure, for some and detriment to others, for playing Silas Hayden Decaneth, a artificer, because we got it on there.
This is how you multi-class.
This is it. This is how you do it. Yeah, he's a wand maker and is using that talent to try to be the best wand slinger in existence.
And with impeccable timing, we last but not least, we have Dia.
Hello. I thought we were just doing roll call, but yeah,
Yep.
I'm here.
Dia, introduce yourself to this wonderful audience of
Hey
me
guys,
right now.
love you. Are we actually live now?
Yes.
Yeah, we're live.
No worries. Hey guys, I'm Dia, also known as Diavel.cause. I play Sister Mirashana in our Frontiers of Eberron campaign, who was originally a divine soul sorcerer on behalf of the Church of Silver Flame, more recently taking on a role of a paladin. So yeah, that's been fun.
And oh, what changes there have been in this town. But we will recap that in a moment, because right now it's time to be diced. Let's ride. It has been several hours since defeating the former head of the Church of the Silver Flame, Brother Mason, who had revealed himself to be under the spell and a minion of Lady Ivara. Sister Mira, you were shocked to realize that Brother Mason was at one point a patron who, in your past, came to you for aid, and had since, upon his arrival in town, manipulated you from the start to be seen as an ally, only to turn and betray your very faith. However, some may say it strengthened it, and you have now taken on a role of more of a protector. Silas, you saw the effects firsthand of what it is like to be turned, even if it was temporary, as a wild magic surge caused you to become afflicted with vampirism. What felt like forever was only fleeting moments, thankfully, as you did not have to succumb to the curse. Ivara, you have witnessed firsthand the destruction that this town has been through since your disappearance, as nearly everything is vacant and either in cinders or in wreckage. Evan, you have not found any sign so far of a lasting piece of farm, nor have you seen any sign of wildlife that is part of your natural calling as a druid to connect with in nature. And Ichabod, the estranged member of this town who looked only to escape, now finding a purpose alongside the resurrected Sheriff Brass, after realizing that there is a need to bring a means to an end with House Vol. It's been several hours, which will be counted mechanically as a long rest, to a short rest. So you will be able to use that as you need to. In that time, you've been able to just safely guard yourself and not really worry too much about any sort of invading forces, as it seems for some reason either people have gone into hiding or there's no one left. And the only sanctuary you've been able to take in right now is in the sheriff's office. Silas, as you wander around outside of the sheriff's office, realizing at that point there is a member of your party missing, and God's blessed it's Alfie, of course. You see a small enchanted stone which is used normally around these parts as a method of leaving messages with the magic mouth spell. And you see that there's a small note that says, "To Silas."
He will pick up the stone.
And upon holding onto it and placing it by your ear as to activate it, you hear this.
A word, if you will. Thank you. I've seemed to have stumbled upon a font of inspiration involving the kyber dust that I ingested earlier. I need you to cover for me, as I plan to return back to the mine. There are experimentations that I would like to conduct involving said kyber dust, and I think it would bear great benefits to the group should the results turn out the way I expect them to. That being said, I would prefer if the Mistress Ivara, as overbearing as she is, to remain unawares of my experimentations, as to not stress her any further than she seems to be currently. That would mean you would have to cover for me for the time being, and should you do this, I would be eternally grateful and forever indebted to you. Okay? All right, good. Well, thank you, Mr. Silas. Good day. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Silas. A word, if you will.
And it loops a few times as it begins to continue to play. We will pause that.
Silas pokes at it, trying to get it to shut off. Damn it, Alfie. Well,
you put it down, and
I'll take it with me. I don't need anybody else activating this message and then being like, Miss Ivara, Alfie said this.
keeping it in your pocket. Now the 5 of you are alongside Sheriff Brass, who looks to be a bit more of his old familiar self, having found some old clothes and a comfortable hat, a duster poncho that feels more in tune to what he used to identify as. And in this moment, as he's taking a seat in his chair, he's just twirling around, doing tricks of a pistol-like wand. An old model, but one that's very basic. Silas Unit would know this as essentially a magic missile wand. And he's just, every now and then, just twirling it and then looking down the sight, playing around with it, and very much just kind of fiddling with it as if a means to pass the time. The sepia tone haze that the entire town has seemed to have taken on from the dust and the ash cloud that surrounds this entire town like a border wall. It is an orange yellowish glaze of light that kind of permeates through it as the only means of unnatural sunlight. No real way to tell if it is dusk, dawn, or any other time on the outside. The 5 of you are together, and there is silence until one decides to break that. Who amongst you do you believe would probably speak up first?
Make that fall for a brief moment as the weight of Mira's actions from the last session roil uneasily in her gut, and she excuses herself to empty the contents of her stomach behind one of the nearest houses.
Ivara will go and pat Sister Mira on the back and go check on her. You okay there, darling?
Does it always feel like that?
What, when you end a laugh?
Yes.
Definitely when you start out, but I don't know if I've just become so desensitized over the years, but sometimes you get used to it and sometimes it eats you alive. You gotta be the one to decide what happens then.
It's odd that it could be so easy for anyone.
As far as I'm looking at it, definitely wasn't easy for you. Killing people is not an easy choice. It's something that's easy to do, yeah, but people who actually have morals, who actually care about others and care about the lives of others, people like us, it's a little bit harder. But you also got to remember, as hard as it may be, it's harder to lose the people we care about.
And when the time comes around where those we care about aren't so cared for anymore,
That's when it gets the hardest.
right?
Hmm?
She just said quiet. I'll be okay.
All right, darling. Well, she's just gonna pat her on the back. She's gonna kind of step away, let her just have a moment to herself, and she'll rejoin the group. I think she'll be okay. Just let her get her bearings a little bit, and then we can be on our way.
You say that out loud, but there's a moment in your head where you're like, be on our way to what? You've been going, practically without any stop to really think about this moment and the fact that you're back here after all that has happened and what you've been through. And it finally hits you. The heaviness of the situation. I would love for you right now.
Oh, dear Lord.
To roll history as a means of recalling some memories of a different time.
What is my history? Sorry, I'm actually having to look at a sheet right now. There it is. Oh, I only have a +1 in history. That's a 4.
If you had rolled higher, I would have found happier memories.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But as you try to push it away, you remember this feeling. And it's betrayal. You've been betrayed before. You know how much it hurts. And you've seen the actions of those who, unlike Sister Mira, are used to making the decision very quickly and without any second thought. And it reflects as a bit of a reminder of that time. What does Ivara do in this moment as she remembers her husband?
Ivara goes and she just she gets a very, right after she said that and the feeling kind of settles in, her usual caring expression that she kind of carries, usually just very soft, just goes very, very cold. And her she's not realizing this, but her brows are furrowed. She pretty much looks like she's almost seething in anger a little bit, but as well as her eyes kind of had a bit of a sadness to it as she reaches up to clasp the what are they called?
The bolero?
Bull ties or bolo
ties.
Oh,
yeah. Bolo tie. Okay.
The green gemmed bolo tie around her neck. And for a moment, you can almost kind of feel a heaviness in the air, as it's very obvious that her emotions and her abilities, something that she still kind of is fluctuating with, is the girl's manifesting in her head some shit that she can't even send anywhere currently, so it's just all kind of building up. And finally you just hear her stomp a boot down for a second as she kind of stands up, and she is going to just walk out back for a minute. She's going to pull out a small pack of rolled cigarettes and she's going to light one up.
The way that this jailhouse is situated, essentially, the sheriff's office is up front, and it's just one large room with a desk in the corner, some shelving for books of law, and a few maps, some old artist rendering of the days the town was founded, and then a bench to the side for others to sit. And then in the room behind it immediately is where the empty jail cells are, which both have cots in them, not the best well-maintained ones, but enough for at least someone to be able to lay down and contemplate with their own thoughts.
So I'd say she's probably back in one of the jail cells, and she's just sitting there, elbows on her knees, as she is just cigarettes hanging out of her mouth, and ash is just hitting the floor as she is just puffing down this fucking cigarette.
There is a still uncertain air that permeates, and the feeling that is resonating with all of you right now is just, this is the first time that you've actually had a moment of quiet in a long, long time. Evan.
Yeah.
As you, where do you think you've positioned yourself in this place?
I think Evan is leaned up against the wall nearest to the door, not quite in the door frame, but just beside it. Arm crossed to hold the stump of her other arm. Is just mumbling to herself, Why did I come here? What am I? I should just everything that she should and should not have done to end up in this place right now, in this position.
Give me a perception check, if you don't mind. As you kind of just look on the outside of this area of town.
Perception. 21.
You get a clear view, essentially, of this town. You kind of soak it in because no one's walking through it. There's just a bit of wind, somehow unnaturally formed. The small pieces of a tumbleweed passing by. No sound of horse trots carrying wagons full of people and trade and goods. No sound of a piano playing in the distance in the saloon. No soldiers going through their routine in the fort as they march up and down the square. No sign of any herding from the nearby ranchers. Just silence. And the whispers of wind.
I think it's the lack of animal sounds that get to her the most, because regardless of what people are doing, and mostly people aren't paying attention, but there's always some kind of critter somewhere, and the fact that she can't hear or sense anything close to her, it's very unnatural.
Give me a nature check.
Oh boy.
If you don't mind.
Nature. 16.
That unease is certainly resonating through your whole body because you're so in tune with the life and the energy that plant life and animal life and people give off in a symbiotic relationship between the land worker and the people who live in this town that feed off of the land, and the life that is born and lost. And there's none of that. You've heard the term ghost town used as a means of talking about when mining towns are, tapped dry and everyone leaves. Nothing but the buildings behind. This feels like that, but not so much that it's people left, but as if they were taken from this existence.
She's never put that much stock in hanging around people. People are very much more complicated than animals a lot of the time. Animals have simple thoughts and simple desires, and are very easy to understand, and people are sometimes difficult for her, but she's never been in a situation where there aren't any, except for the ones that she has with her, and she's not sure what to do with that.
And she will have to sit with that uneasy feeling for a bit. We move over to Ichabod. In this moment, in this quiet, in this stillness, what is Ichabod doing?
If there is a window in the office,
Mhm.
he probably is sort of holding himself and staring at the distance as there is still blood in his hands from the previous fight. And he's incredibly still, looking into the distance, sort of lost in thought. The world around him is completely distant, except for a particular location that he knows lies beyond some of the buildings that he can see through the window. And that's where his memory is.
You look out at the town, and you remember the last time you were here. And you also remember the last moments when you were attacked. It was a sudden flash of fire and mayhem that came through, with people disappearing left and right. But within the cloud of the ash-filled dome that has surrounded this entire town once it had been activated of sorts. And yet somehow you escaped. Perhaps it's a result of being turned halfway by one of the vampiric bandits of Lady Avara. Lady.
That is the second time you've done that.
They're very close. They're very close. Okay,
Can we do
very close.
Freudian
Lady-
slip, Michael? Is Ivara the real BBG? Do I gotta start blasting at Ivara?
The two bouquets?
Time for a witch hunt.
And whether it's fate's design or simply coincidence, you ended up finding the very people who were sworn in officially to protect the town. And now you find yourself back and in a different mindset than when you left.
there's tension in Ichabod's stillness. And one of the things that is plaguing him is the fear of hoping that his troop was not turned fully, and that he may have to find them in such a state, such as his or worse. And he has a moment where he looks over his shoulder and just sort of stares at each person in that room with this sort of hollowed stare. He seems to be evaluating each single one of them. Not like a discreet or stealthy look. It's completely direct. And it's just as if he's evaluating each and every one of them, and then after a moment he just turns back to the window.
As our view fades from the window, we find Silas.
Silas has been making a point not to look directly at anybody else in the room, because he doesn't want to see the look on the faces as they look at somebody who attacked one of their own. So he is just looking down, going over his gear, making sure every little thing is exactly where it needs to be. And if we linger long enough that he has checked, double-checked, and triple-checked absolutely everything that he has, he's going to listen for something like a shutter in the wind hitting the side of a building, or just some ambient noise, and just start counting it to keep his mind occupied.
You listen, and as you attune yourself to the silence, to filter out anything that could even seem like a disturbance, you hear the slow trot of horse steps. You can barely make out the image through the dust, but slowly there is a figure riding on top of it, heading down the path towards the sheriff's office.
Who's the closest person to me?
Would probably be Evan.
Silas kind of having that moment where he just kind of hears the footsteps of the horse, turns, looks that way, and as he's seeing something, just kind of gives Evan a tap. And when she looks, he just points.
Evan squints into the distance to try to see.
As it gets closer, the figure you see on top of the horse is much thinner than you would expect. In fact, the clothes seem to be almost hanging off. And it becomes clearer as to why, as riding on top of this slow-moving horse, is essentially a weathered skeleton in the clothing of someone from town. And as if grafted onto the reins of this horse that truly seems to be guiding it, it stops at the water trough in front of the sheriff's office. And as it bends down to drink, the skeleton just kind of slumps over to the side and still is hanging on, but its skull just with eyeless sockets staring at the two of you.
Evan is going to look at Silas briefly and then go over to it.
Silas will, without taking his eyes off it, when Evan starts moving, he's just gonna go, Brass.
Brass gets up and you hear the slow clink of stirrups on his heels as he steps near you and looks outside. Well, shit. He walks closer, carefully, with wand out, and he just kind of pushes some clothes aside to see if there's any sort of identifying marker on this person.
While Brass investigates, Silas looks around because with all the shit that's been going on, he's not sure if this is an invitation or a warning.
I could talk to the horse. So I would like to talk to the horse.
Okay.
I'll let it have a drink. Have a drink first, and then just very gently, because I don't know how long it's been out. Where did you come from?
So as you cast Speak with Animals,
I don't need to.
You don't need
I
to.
just
You
can't.
just
No.
have the ability to. It's a natural, innate ability, rather. Whereas anyone else would have to use this as a spell. You just have this ingrained ability. And at first it just moves aside, but then it just drinks a bit more, and its head looks up, and to anyone else looking at the outside, this just looks a silent conversation of looking upon each other. But Evan, you hear from the horse, I've been so thirsty. I'm so thankful I found something.
You've been traveling long, then?
I don't really know. I think the last thing I remember was this whole place was on fire. And then we ran and walked through dust, and everything got quiet, and I got here. Got some water, and now I found you.
Do you know who saddled you? Is it your owner?
He kind of shakes his... Oh no. Oh, Dusty.
You don't know where he is?
No. I don't know what happened. I feel like that this ain't him, though.
I hope not.
Can you help get him off me? This is uncomfortable.
Yeah, we'll work on it. We're working on it. She doesn't want to just push the skeleton off the horse, so like Wiser minds prevail. Just gonna look to Brass for a little help, like.
Yeah. I can, and I've dealt with stuff like this before. And he just creeps up and just snaps the bone off of the grafted reins and just takes it by like the ribs and just pulls it down. There's not much you can do with this. He just kind of drops it into the empty trough.
You know, Brass. Actually, never mind. It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, it's practically dust now anyway. I mean, look at the thing.
Yeah. I wonder what happened, though. The horse is fine.
Yeah.
The rider is not.
This is oddly familiar.
Are you gonna tell me
I think I
some
know why.
weird stuff again? Oh, God.
Hey, just be thankful you weren't in the war. We all saw a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, grateful that wasn't in the war.
You
gonna
look. You
take-
both look now at the skeleton. You see that it's just a pile of dust and clothes.
That's
Well, maybe there
unfortunate.
might be something in the clothes. I don't know. Well, why don't you tell the rest of what you heard? I'm gonna look through this fella's whatever. Maybe there's some sort of clue.
All right. And she'll pat the horse a few more times. And I don't think I have any provisions for it. Because it's been a while. But she'll go back inside. Right. So a horse has shown up with a very deceased rider. And by very deceased, I mean he has turned to dust upon leaving the horse's back.
I'm going to say that Ichabod's gonna rush to whatever point of view he can, either from the door or anywhere, to take a look at the body, mostly to look at the clothes. He doesn't need to get close to it, he just wants to see the clothes.
Mhm.
Just in case he recognizes them.
Upon first glance, you don't really see any kind of markings or anything, or any kind of piece of clothing that identifies it as something familiar. This seems like it was a ranch hand's clothing. And if give me though an investigation check though, as you kind of look through alongside Brass.
That is a 3 for a total of 2.
I'll let Brass give you the help action for this, and you can roll again.
That is a 7 for a total of 6.
It's better.
It's a little too grim for you to stomach to really kind of like have the right mindset to search through anything right now in this space. But Brass kind of like wipes off his hands and he looks at it and this ain't dust and bone dust. This is ash. Isn't that the thing that you're supposed to be worried about turning into? No offense.
If I'm honest, I'm not sure that I would not prefer that to this.
Well, I think I have an idea what happened. I don't like it. That's better than nothing.
What's there to like about this whole situation?
He can't even come back with anything at that point, and he walks back inside. All right, Evan, what'd the horse say?
Well, the horse doesn't really know what happened. Like the town was on fire, and they didn't know who mounted them. They weren't sure what happened. It's not their owner. They don't think their owner's name is Dusty. But yeah, they aren't sure how long they've been gone, which I'm gonna guess is maybe a few days.
It's had to have been at least a week since we've all been here. How's that possible? For the horse to be looking like that, as if it's only been a few hours.
Not sure. Didn't seem too worse for wear. The condition is still good. I mean, it's not as shiny as it could be, but
This don't make no sense. Well, I know we've all been thinking it, but there is a place that is in town that may have answers to things that we just can't wrap our heads around, but I have been mighty reluctant to go back there. As for the rest of you, Ivara, why don't you come in here, sweetheart, so we can talk?
Ivara, she'll pull the cigarette out. She's just gonna fucking lick her tongue, put it out in between her fingers, pocket the butt. She's gonna just kind of silently stand up. She's going to walk over to the doorway. She's just gonna kind of lean against it. Very numb expression, and she is pretty much staying as far away from the party as she can right now.
I know we've had at least several hours to just kind of actually have some peace and quiet for once. To think about, or at least try not to think about, depending on what you want to do. On everything that's been going on since this whole ordeal began. But there are things beyond our understanding, at least the majority of us. And I think this is where we may have to look to your particular expertise, Mr. Silas. I have been most reluctant to bring this up as an option. But I think we need to get ourselves cleaned up, prepared and armed, and take a look at that old institute.
Yep. I'm reckon you're pretty right about that. If you don't mind, I'll knock on the front door when we get there.
He takes a few steps and goes into the back where the jail cells are, and you see that he grabs a key ring off the wall. He lowers it down into the floor and kind of moves some hay aside and puts one of the keys into a lock that's on the floor. Opens up this panel, and kind of halfway down you see him grab something and pull up a chest, a wooden barreled chest that he's sliding out and then just brings onto the into the floor of the main room. He kicks it open, and you see very old but very clean weaponry.
Sauce.
And they are old magic missile wands. This is essentially an armory cart that he has been holding on to. There are 2 versions available. One is essentially the equivalent of like a 6-shooter, meaning it has 6 charges on it. The other is rifle-like, as if you were to take a staff but then put a holding on it as if it were to be held that way. And that has 12 shots meant for long range. So you have the option. As he looks, I ain't gonna make you take anything you're uncomfortable firing, but I believe we can all use a little backup, just in case we find some unhealthy citizens that ain't want to be fixed.
Wand missiles, alright. Wand magic missiles, essentially.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. With 6 charges. Whereas the rifle version has 12. There are 2 rifles. There are 5 pistols. 5 wands.
While we're in the office, does Chef Brass have anything in the way of like just small vials or even empty bottles of any sort?
He goes over to a medicine cabinet and he opens up essentially like another thing that is more intricate and laid out. This was kind of just like a tinctures, potions kind of holding thing. What kind of things are you looking for?
Just 4 glass vials that she takes from the tincture cabinet and says, I think we may need more than just arms to deal with this little problem. As she moves towards the side where he might have a water jug and starts pouring water into each one of the vials. A wise woman once told me that water cures all things, whether it be through tears or the sea. In this case, she calls ceremony, and it looks like a small array of stars manifest above her head, and she reaches up and plucks one, places it into the vial.
Smash.
Opens it, and hands each vial to the party. Holy water might be helpful to us.
Eberron
And those are going to essentially be the equivalent of like a area of effect grenade. They will deal radiant damage. Essentially the biggest thing you can do to an undead. And I'm going to say that it is going to be, since it's a small vial, it's probably about a 20-foot radius. So it's enough to hit one and then be able to spread onto the floor for them. You made 4.
I made
correct?
4. 1 for each of you. And then I am going to burn 4 of my sorcery points to regain the spell slots back.
Okay.
Question for what is the damage on that holy water, and what is also like the plus for that?
I will tell you when you use it.
All right, that's fair.
So, DM, how many weapons are in that thing?
5 wands of magic missiles with 6 charges each on them. 2 long-range versions of them with 12 charges each.
You see Ichabod walk toward the crate, and without pause, without like talking or anything, very like almost like not robotic, but just numb, mechanical, step by step. He just walks to it, the crate, looks down, grabs one of the 6 shooters, and then reaches and grabs one of the rifle ones as well. and you see him sort of like starting to arm up, and it's just then looks at the sheriff, just, I'm ready.
He grabs one, twirls it into his holster, takes the old one that he had been in, puts it then there too. As for the rest of you, I know that some of you have abilities. I ain't got that luck.
Evan looks at the wands in the chest. Is it at least easy to use?
Yep. You just take it, point, concentrate, and you will know as a spellcaster yourself that it will fire upon your will.
I'll take one in case, but I only got the one hand, so. And she just tucks one away, just in case.
All right. Silas, how is your wand doing?
Mine is
I know
fine.
that sounds like a personal question.
If there's one thing that is on Silas's person that is in good condition, it will 100% always be his wand. So that is the thing that he cares about more than his own skin. So, me looking at this mechanically, I know that Silas is better off keeping his wand. That being said, though, if nobody else is taking anything else from the stockpile, Silas will grab something. But he's going to grab last. He's going to make sure everybody else gets something, knowing that if he even doesn't get anything, he's still got his own.
Ivara will take a moment as she pushes off of the door frame, and she's going to walk over and she's going to just look at these wands. And there's almost like kind of anger in her eyes as she picks one of them up. She kind of flips it in her hands a little bit. And you kind of, anyone who's paying attention, you just kind of see her clench her jaw for a minute as she then just kind of holsters it in her belt before walking back over to where the door frame was, but she's just going to kind of lean against the wall.
And geared up, you step out from the sheriff's office for a moment as he looks at all of you and kind of sees if you are prepared. So he kind of just takes a surveillance of you all for a moment. Yes, Ichabod.
I think one thing to add would be Ichabod would ask the sheriff, have you got any spyglasses?
Top shelf on my desk.
And you see him, he just goes to it.
You
Opens
slide it
the-
out, and you see the magnifying glass and a small scope. And then you see a pamphlet and a small tattered poster of familiar event from your past.
Son of a bitch.
You don't drop lore on me secretly in Discord and expect me not to bring it up codedly.
You see Ichabod sort of moving with the same intention that he's been going, that it's kind of like he's shutting down his emotions. He's got one mission that is, let's finish this or die trying. So he moves with that same intention to the drawer. He opens the drawer. He sees the magnifying glass. He moves it aside to reach for the scope. He picks up the scope, and you guys see as he picks up the scope, his eyes seem to catch something else in the drawer, and his body freezes. The momentum that he's been carrying is gone. And you just see him, his face softens for a moment. in one hand reaches in and he takes it out. You guys see that he's holding this pamphlet. And then he just
right there.
I'm fine. And he just tosses the paper on the desk. If anybody were to look, you would see that there is a pamphlet advertising a circus act with a drawing depiction of Ichabod flying from a trapeze and the title The Flying Monk. And he just walks out.
The five of you, alongside Sheriff Brass, step out into the dust-filled town, rounding the corner of the area where the station is, and heading straight towards the institution. A building that you've seen time and time again, but now walking forward with purpose. The light shining behind you, casting shadows miles long ahead of you in this bizarre way of scope and light, as if you are being led by your own ambition, your drive, your desire for justice. Walking forward with no one surrounding you, just a wall of law enforcement. But not even that. A wall of united citizens. A group of individuals who, beyond being the tropes of dime novels of adventurers in the past and stories from old textbooks about heroes who rose up to fight tyranny, this is more personal. This is your home. This is the land that had been taken from you in a time where all you wanted to do was settle and find new lives. But now that opportunity may not even be there if you aren't able to finish the job. So with purpose in your heart and a focus in your eyes, you walk to the front door of the Institute of Arcane Technology. Fortified, it seems, more so than ever before. Windows boarded up. A barracks of which, a barricade of which, of just thrown together pieces of furniture and walls from remaining buildings. But a sealed door. The single solitary door, for some reason, that has always been the only entrance and exit for this facility. At least that's how it's always seemed. You stand in front of it. Copper gestures to you, Silas, as if to say, "Gentlemen first."
Silas walks forward. Is wand stone and everything. He's just walking right forward, staring directly at the door. And he is walking right at this door like he owns the place, unless someone or something stops him.
Smash.
Michael, can you put me in
Somebody
table
clip
deciding
that.
whether to use?
Hope somebody clip that stereo smash.
Like dolphins.
Done. That's it. Silas is retired. That's it.
Here, we got this pump in the corner. Here.
I'm going to say that Ichabod basically, once he's starting to get close to the area where he knows he would have range with those rifle staffs, he would have like diverted from the group and then take advantage of his new acquired abilities that he loves and hates, and he would have just basically started climbing up a building to get a vantage point. Just basically lay down. He would have grabbed the scope, hook up a leather little like rope tight from his outfit, and just like secured it on top of the staff. And he would have just like laid down and keep an eye in case there were anything that he would see. And he wouldn't attempt to move in unless the whole party goes in. If anything happens outside, he's keeping watch.
Don't worry, Silas will get through the door one way or another.
I don't doubt you.
I think
Silas, you knock on the door?
Well, if I make it all the way up to the door and nobody says anything, okay, nice. Silas is gonna kind of look at the door, look at it up and down. Is it trapped?
Give me an investigation check.
You bet your ass.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Investigation. That is a 25.
The only thing you notice is the scry stone positioned just above the entrance. The one that always is watching whenever somebody comes near.
Can I hear anything?
You can sense that it is on, essentially.
Well, I meant like beyond the door.
Oh, no. This is a solid steel door.
Solid steel door. Is it locked?
There is no handle on it, as it always seems to be able to only open from the inside, should someone want to open it from there. From what your time you've seen inside, it was glyph activated for security purposes.
How wide is the door?
It is about the size of a double door frame.
So, like, maybe...
If
8
it were
10
to
feet
open,
across.
it would open into the facility.
Okay. Silas is going to very gently look up at the scry stone. Very gently reach into his holster, pull out his wand, clear his throat, and use it to tap on the door. Tut, 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 and on the last one, cast Thunderwave on the door.
All right.
Tut, tut,
You
tut,
cast
tut, tut.
Thunderwave, and a boom emanates from Silas, a shockwave pushing through, reverberating and bouncing off, making a wave of a sound wave just blow dust and dirt past you all, unfazed, as you stand stoically looking ahead at this maneuver, this bold move of trying to make a statement. And as the dust clears from that, essentially that sonic explosion, you see the smallest of cracks open in the door as it just goes. And the last thing that happens is the scry stone, barely now hanging on by the sconce that it was placed upon, just goes dun, 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 and rolls down the stone hallway into darkness.
Anybody home?
You hear your voice echo. And eventually, there is jingling steps. And out of the darkness, a single match is struck, glowing, illuminating the cigarette. And in that glow, a familiar face appears.
Ah, you bitch!
Smash!
I can hear you.
Once more from the top with feeling.
My brother of the arcane arts, is that you I see?
And that's where we're going to take a break.
Perfect.
Folks, we will be right back with the in about a few minutes to just catch up. But welcome back, Holiday Luckfoot, and see what this conversation is going to be like.
We'll be back.
Thank you, KJ. We will be back in 5 minutes. We will see you then for the second half of this episode of Frontiers of Eberron. Stick around. And welcome back. By the way, thank you to everybody who is in the chat right now. We've got a lot of new faces. We've got a lot of people interacting with us. We appreciate it. Feel free to follow us, of course, here and all our different screen names we've got all over the place. And be sure to check out our upcoming shows. Our next one's going to be on Tuesday for another episode of the Star Wars RPG that Tarzan is running. Following that on Thursday, or no, will it be Wednesday that you have your next one, Matt?
Wednesday, yes.
Yes, and then this Wednesday will be another episode of the Dimensional Dial Ding Dong of Daddy-O.
If I hold that,
Wow.
Just slid that in there perfectly, Michael.
if I withhold this next session, I might actually have a mob on my front door.
Yeah, you would. You would be just.
Yeah.
You may or
So
may
check
not
out the Dimensional
threatening
Dial
voices.
of Dr. Diago and the continuing madness that Matt puts his players through.
Mhm,
And then following that on Thursday will be another episode of Tales of Varden,
Oh my God.
where more and more gross, nasty things are trying to kill this town, and a small revolution is happening within the Magocracy. But now we continue where we left off, as down the hallway we see, having now illuminated his face and coming into the light, the long but not forgotten, somewhat missing person that thought to have been left behind, Holiday Luckfoot, the Herringon man about town. Tarzan, if you'd be so kind, at this time, what kind of version of Holiday do they see? How do they present themselves after what's been going on?
So, after some time, the only person that has actually seen Holiday's current getup has been Ivara, as she was the one that helped him accumulate this visage, which is a long black gold trimmed trench coat. He's currently got one hand in his pocket, so it's the tail of that trench coat is just swooped over his arm as he takes a long drag of his cigarette. I thought you were all dead. Where the hell have you been?
Holiday Luckfoot. You want to tell me what you're doing coming out of the Institute?
Oh. I thought this... I didn't realize it was news. I'm a man of survival. I do what I have to make sure I make it out on the other side.
Ivara immediately draws her wand and just points it at Holiday.
Easy now.
Yeah, I would say at this point, Holiday, you've stepped out into the light in the doorway, where now, Ichabod, you can see that he is in range, hands up as if to say, coming in peace. But you do see Ivara has suddenly pointed her wand at this Herringon individual.
You'll see he's got his holster as usual, wand slinger and holstered in at his side. His hands are up. He's got his lucky gold coin in his left hand. I'm here as a friend now.
Oh, you're
Are
really
you?
been missing for a long ass time, and you show up walking out of here. Don't you think that we can't help but question what's going on right now?
Can I insight check him?
By all
Can
means.
I insight check him?
Yeah, I
as
am also,
somebody
I
who's
am also going to
a gambler?
insight
You know
check
what?
him.
We can have a group insight check, and then Holiday, you can tell me whether it's persuasion or deception, but you can roll.
Can I roll with advantage as I've played cards with Holiday?
Absolutely. Now is the time to use those kinds of interesting traits.
Ichabod's just going to check himself.
Okay. Before he wrecks himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
want them in chat?
Got a
Yeah,
12. Can't tell
Yeah.
hide nor hair.
Ah,
I love it.
Zing.
okay. So, Ivara and Silas, you got the highest with a 21 and a 23, respectively. You are seeing a rare moment of being genuine. The only time there is no tell on his face. There's no sudden movement, and even in his stance, he's showing that he's being sincere. The last time you saw this kind of demeanor was the last time you all saw him deciding to go into the business for himself with an honest with an honesty about him of how he was trying to be a better person on his way out of this group.
Well, let's not. What's the word there? Let's not get all button lipped right now. By all means, sir. All cards on the table.
All cards on the
Ivara's
table.
one pointed at him.
And Silas will slowly holster his wand.
Ichabod still got him on his
Not
sides.
moving.
Yeah, the same with Copper. He's got 2 out.
Oh, I hope that the people behind me don't do this, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
one slinger to one slinger. Silas is holstering his sidearm.
Seeing Brass, Holidays goes wide-eyed for a second, like as he was last aware, Brass has been dead this whole time. Know that
Yep.
Somebody
He's
learn-
just staring at you.
a resurrection spell, or does
We've all
Brass
been
have a
through
twin
some
brother?
considerable changes, it seems, Mr. Luckfoot.
That's
Rumors
fair.
of my demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Needless to say, I made a deal with the current rulers of this town. I remain untouched, and I help them with their dealings here at this establishment.
It's curious that you say that you made a deal, because I don't think anybody here remembers making a deal with you, and I wouldn't necessarily call us rulers, but we are the law around here.
Smash.
Last I recall, my life wasn't in an impending doom of becoming either a vampire thrall or decomposing.
You mean those 2 appendages at the end of your legs ain't lucky?
Lucky enough to keep me intact, at least.
At the price of what,
Right.
though?
I get to run my business and help them with.
Oh, cut the
Interpret-
horse shit, Holiday. There ain't no goddamn businesses left to be run. What the hell did you do, and where the hell is everyone else?
As one of the few remaining members that is capable of comprehending many assortment of languages, I offered my services to help them further their research.
Holiday,
Research,
you
No, you may look like a rabbit, but you act like a goddamn snake.
Holiday, you hear in your head as Mira just casts mind link between us.
Hmm?
Are you safe, really? Are they listening? And you can reply to that.
That's a good question.
Oh my god!
Uno
Ooh.
momento.
Holiday, you speak halfling?
Are you going through a sheet?
I think somebody's getting a private message.
Are
And now,
you
word from our
loving
sponsors.
sauce?
Holiday Lookfoot Lumberyard.
The business still running strong.
It's totally a legitimate business.
The best business in town. The only business in town, actually.
Yeah.
Mira, instead of responding mentally, he responds out loud. I am here of my own volition. I'm sure some of you have read my intentions at this point, or have dug into my intent. I mean no harm. I'm here, simply.
Holiday, you say
As-
you mean no harm, but you're sitting here siding with the people who have slaughtered most of the people in this damn town. Who the fuck do you say you ain't here to hurt nobody?
I wasn't the one responsible for those deaths.
Then why the fuck are you helping the ones who are destroying this fucking town?
The real question is, where the fuck have you been? The guardians of this town. I was left here of my own devices. I watched my brother.
Happened, all right? Something happened that took us all away from here.
Oh, that's such a convenient little lie you've told yourselves, isn't it?
Why don't you ask your
Better
new
start counting because I'm
handler?
running out of patience.
Why don't you ask your new handler exactly what they did to us?
You really think we'd leave here at our own free will? Especially when we have duties that we have to attend to?
I don't know.
You really think I'd leave my girls behind? Don't you dare sit there and say that we abandoned this place.
Some of you are some of the most cutthroat people I've ever met.
Says the
More
man
so-
working with the one who's fucking cut everybody's throat in this damn town.
Listen, I was left on my own. I had no friends by my side. I made the best deal I made the best play with the cards I was dealt with.
All right, so that's what you did with your flop. Now what happens on the turn? We're back. You tell us what happens with the river.
That's what I'm hoping to find out. Your reemergence changes things.
Oh, really? So you're having a change of heart, or is it just something that would be more in your favor?
Truthfully, your presence doesn't necessarily weigh in my benefit, but I know some of the capabilities that some of y'all possess. This druid here, never met in my life, but it's an unknown quantity in the hand. So could be a straight, could be a pair. We'll see.
In that moment, Holiday, you feel your head still connected with Sister Mirror as she does the following.
Uh-oh.
Although you asked where we were, and halfway through the middle of your sentence, it feels as if you've dropped through a portal into the sands of a desert where we found ourselves. Feel the sands clawing up your lungs. Feel the way we were lost in the caves, the darkness, the fear. You see before you the way each one of your friends gets cut down as the Lord of Blades whizzes around a battlefield and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And then finally you see exactly how we brought Sheriff Brass back to life and how much it took to do that. And then you see the gut-wrenching reaction of what it takes to kill someone for the first time, someone you once saved, someone you didn't recognize. And then you see the carnage of a town, the way we tried to prepare, the way we're so ready to take down the Institute, only to find you here. You feel sick to your stomach with confusion and the barrage of emotions that you're not suited to possess hit you all at once.
Smash.
And as this wave of emotion and memory floods your mind in an instant, you know that it is coming from Sister Mira, who is using as much of her willpower to make this happen. Mira, if you could give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
That was 15.
15 will do it. No point of exhaustion. And you do see the sweat, though, coming from her brow from the amount of effort it took to give you this flash of memory and emotion. Before you can even take a moment, as it kind of washes over you, you shake your head, and then you hear a small chime from your pocket, which you know to be the notification of a sending stone. One that was sent to you by your primary contact in this facility.
I think you should
Mr.
get that.
Luckfoot.
Yes. Yes, sure. One moment. He'll pull out the sending stone out of his pocket and hold it up to his ear. Holiday?
The rest of you won't hear, but Holiday, you will hear the voice of Clinton Hiltwig. Are they here?
Yes, they are.
Bring them in.
Very well. Seems Clinton would like to meet with you all.
What a coincidence. We want to meet with him. If you want to tell him to come on up here.
He would prefer if we met inside. And
I
if you
know
could bring
he'd
your
prefer.
you could bring your friend on the rooftops down to come join us, it would be a much more pleasant experience.
Ivar just takes another step forward. Her wand is still aimed at Holiday. She goes, "Don't you dare fucking move. You think we're gonna fucking go in there with you?"
Hang on now, Ivar. 1 second.
You'd rather talk out here in the streets with a bunch of vampires running around?
Well, again, all cards on the table, as it were. We don't exactly know what's in there. And we learned a few things about Mr. Hiltwick ourselves, and we'll keep that close to the chest for now. But, given the state of things, we don't know what's in the Institute. And actually, I didn't have much of a favorable experience last time I was here. So, you will forgive if we're a little apprehensive about following you in, but... And he turns around and looks at Avara and then whispers and goes, "Remember, Clinton was not exactly for all of this. We just don't know who else is inside. So, Mr. Luckfoot, what's your ace in the hole?"
Hopefully.
Tell us how you see this hand ending.
I'm sure there's more that Mr. Hiltwick can explain to you, but for the time being, my ace in the hole, I'm betting on you, Silas.
Ooh.
Smash.
Talk about putting everything on black.
Now, can we reminisce like the old days and treat each other as friends that we once were?
Matt was told with a 23 insight check that he believes Holiday is being genuine in this moment. So even though he doesn't exactly like the sticky situation, He's going to kind of like look over his shoulder at everybody. And just kind of get a vibe check from everyone.
Var is still pointing that wand.
Same with Brass.
Mind you, I assumed y'all came here to come inside originally, given the fact that you did blast the goddamn doors off the institute. I mean, might as-
You know me and my theatrics.
I would have done the same.
I'll tell you what,
Well-
Holiday.
What are we doing? Just holding our wands all day?
That's all you.
Gosh.
I'm just holding on to my lucky coin.
I'll tell you what, Holiday. I'll go have a chat with Mr. Hiltwick. But none of them have to come in with me if they don't feel safe.
The fuck you are leaving us alone?
Alone,
I'd like
there's
to
6
hear
of
what
you.
he has to say.
All right, 5.
I'd like to see what he's hiding.
Brass gives kind of a signal to Ichabod up on the roof that he sees, as if to say, looks clear.
And then, as that happens, Ichabod, you're going to see a little black sparrow that was sitting on the rooftop next to you fly down over to Holiday and land on his shoulder.
And the reason, Evan, that you as a druid didn't recognize this animal is because you see it disappear once it lands on Holiday's shoulder. A sign of it being a familiar.
That's a good boy, Jack.
Ichabod is going to take a moment, consider, and then he just sort of makes his way down, joining the group, holstering one of the 2 staff that he has on his back.
Oh yeah, Ichabod is loaded up. He
I
is
fucking
like
love it.
full like
Stacked.
bandolier of stuff.
Almost looks as outfitted as Alfie does on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. With a grenade launcher that's just as wide as he is.
All right, Mr. Luckfoot. After you.
Would be my pleasure.
Ivara will
What is-
holster her wand, and she's just gonna daggers like eyes, just looking at Luckfoot the whole entire time.
Not gonna lie, for a second, I thought you were like, I'm gonna holster the wand, but throw a dagger at him. Gotcha!
Used to be business partners.
Ivara's on
Hol-
edge right now.
As
Holiday
you're
would-
walking, Brass is going to let, out of politeness, Evan and Sister Mira go first. He's going to then make sure that Ichabod is kind of keeping eyes on the back as they enter in, as Silas and Holiday go up front. But he will go up to you, Ivara, and kind of just stay close, and then reach for your hand and give it just enough of a squeeze to just be like, look at you like, you okay, darling?
Ivara, she'll kind of feel the squeeze, and she's honestly gonna kind of just, she's gonna almost just huff, and she will yank her hand away, and she'll just be like, I'm fine, I just want to get through this, and I honestly would like to not kill anybody that I know, or at least that I somewhat have either business or care about in some relation. It's just, this whole situation is fucked to begin with.
Reckon you're right about that. And they walk all in together. As Ichabod, you see the doors are barely hanging on at this point from the blast that Silas does. But as you all walk, there are ever bright lanterns that activate upon passing by, glowing and illuminating this hallway. Silas, you are familiar with the path of this hallway that Holiday is taking you down, And it eventually, Holiday, you do lead to what was presumably the end of public access for this facility that, Silas, you had watched people who worked here go in and out of and in and out of, very much maintaining a sense of security to not let anyone else who didn't work there go in. These doors now, though, are open, and you can see that they lead downwards. And in a kind of like squared spiral staircase, heading down a few levels, eventually making it to a makeshift, more of an advanced version, rather, of a mine shaft elevator with a few switches. Holiday leads you all down, and in that moment, the elevator kind of reveals the shaft to open up into a more open space, and what looks now kind of like a hangar that you would see airships be docked in if you were in the city, but underground. And in this facility, you see pieces of large machinery that look dusted over, and growth of vines growing over it, as well as the images of what's the word I'm looking for? Assembly lines. Assembly lines similar to, too much unsimilar to the factories that you were working in, Silas, at House Cannith. You see pieces of what presumably seem to be Warforged soldiers, but as if they're almost decaying, and not so much shells, but they actually feel like corpses in a way. And you catch Brass's sight of this, and he kind of just shudders a bit as this mechanized, warped, and archaic creation forge just looks utterly nightmarish machination of an attempt to do something that is beyond reason. And eventually the elevator stops, gate opens up, and you enter into the open clearing area. And out steps from one of the open areas down a set of steps the very ragged-looking, overgrown beard, poorly managed hair, distraught, sagging eyes, and frail-looking image of Clinton Helkwick, the administrator to the Institute, walking with a cane that he seems to have made from spare metal pieces. Thank you, Mr. Luckfoot.
No problem at all, Mr. Hilvick.
Silas?
Clinton?
I see some new friends have been made, as it were, as he looks at Ichabod and Evan.
Saz is going to gesture over his shoulder to the assembly line and go, "You being punny right now?"
I didn't want this. I didn't want any of this. But she found out. She found out what I am. But I can't talk about that right now until we all are under the same accord. That we are on the same side.
You seem to be finding more and more sides to this game.
She wanted to kill everybody. She wanted to take every life. And then I knew I only had one option, to save everyone. And he starts coughing hard and is barely holding himself up. And he just adjusts. Took everything I had to activate the bulwark. And now this is the result of my actions that I have to live with.
At this point, silver platter would come floating by, bringing Mr. Hiltwick a glass of water, hot water, and lemon. Drink
Thank
up.
you, son.
You need to take care of yourself now. Let's not get
Does
too
he look? Does he look unwell, diseased in
He
some
looks
kind of way?
very unwell. He looks
he
like he has been drained of... He looks like somebody who has been working non-stop, no breaks, no time to eat even. He looks older, and he looks ragged. And he kind of just takes a moment to sit on a nearby metal seat. Again, everything looks like it's been made from leftovers of whatever this facility once was. He looks at all of you and he just goes, "Is there anyone else left?"
Not that we've seen.
Is he still out there, Brother Mason?
Without trying to indicate to Mira, Silas is going to just kind of nod and just say, he's been taken care of.
I thought I
That's
could
one
trust him
down.
too. I've been such a fool. If we all come in and just take a seat for a moment, I can explain everything. And then maybe we'll be able to figure something out. I don't know. He turns and just slowly starts walking back towards the stairwell that leads to this kind of broken down atrium of glass. It's a sad sight. A person who was once such a strong public figure, now seemingly broken down.
When we sit, can Evan, using her herbalism kit and maybe some kind of medicine check, can I see if there's anything to help his current state?
Yeah, as you're all walking along, tepidly following, keeping an eye on everything around you and each other, you are able to pluck some leaves from the overgrowth and some plants that you recognize have some healing properties to it. And you figure that with what you've gathered here, you could probably make something to help heal him up a little bit. Even if it's not the most potent of things, it should be enough.
Well, I will work on that.
Alright, everyone, let's all get comfortable.
Ivar is going to remain standing.
Silas will also remain standing.
Has spent a good portion of his day on his feet, and he needs to take a breather of sorts. Anybody care for refreshments while we're here? I'll have my servant go and fetch y'all something.
We got a lot of ground to cover. The quicker he talks, the better.
I guess I'll start from the beginning. Well, when I came to this town, I was looking for a new start, unlike a lot of you. I had made my name pretty well in Sharn, working with universities and such. On my move here, I met Doc and offered him a job. He took to it pretty well, albeit to perhaps even maybe indulge some of his more strenuous vices. But he was good. And then I started the Institute. I wanted to make something out of all the times that I had to work with those different houses that wanted to use me for their war. Wanted me to build things that I didn't want to. So I took it from them. So they couldn't use it anymore. But then this woman showed up into town, claiming that she bought the mines under her own finances. But she revealed that she was much more than she seemed, and that she knew exactly who I was and what I did. And I could not afford to let anyone understand what I am and what I've done. So she said if I kept quiet and built what she needed, which I didn't know at the time was going to be what it ended up being. And it was too late once I found out the truth. She found that deposit of Kyber, and she wanted to use it for this. This monstrosity of a device. She wanted to make her own army. Because she couldn't turn everyone. So she thought she could make her own. She called them the Woe Forged. Souls of the damned, inhabiting the vessels of departed soldiers from this war. She was almost ready to do it. But then Brother Mason influenced her a little bit more and said to use the church as a means of turning the folk on their side. And in a weird way, I was happy that I wouldn't have to continue this, but I did not know what he meant until it was too late. So I ran back here when she told me her plans and told me what she really was. A vessel for House Vol. I ran back here with that disc that I gave to you, Silas. And I activated the bulwark. A smaller version of the very thing that surrounds the once wonderful nation of my old home of Sire. I knew that it had to be done because I couldn't let her kill everyone in this town. So I used it to take people out and keep them in a moment, locked, safely, until I could release it when it was safe. But something happened. An error in the calculations of chaos magic that may have interfered. As he looks at you, Ivara. There was a surge. Most likely caused by an emotional reaction to the chaos that was happening. And in the research that I found, those who have that ability to harness wild magic tend to have it tethered to those they care about. Which is how I think you all disappeared. Somewhere far away from here. And now, however it is that you were able to get back, there's a sign that means that there is a way. There must be at this point to bring everyone else. I don't know how much I have left in me to fix this. I don't even know if I can. And he just begins to stare as he sits. I knew there was one I could save. Thankfully, Mr. Holliday, Mr. Lockfoot here, was able to find her and bring her back to me for safekeeping. Your bounty hunter friend. She's okay. She's safe in a room we have here. I'm doing everything I can to keep her alive. Or whatever it is that is her version of being alive. I just don't know anymore.
Question. Throughout his entire spiel, did Mira at all get any sense that he might be deceptive? Or
Give me an insight check.
stolen time? That was a 1 for an 8, but my passive is 17.
Okay. With your passive, you are able to see the utter dread in his eyes and his voice shaking, not of nervousness, but of sadness.
He's telling the truth. Mira says out loud.
Mind you, the bounty hunter Delilah is not in the best of state when I found her. We're doing our best to keep her sustained. But there are things that even I don't understand how a reborn works. I can't undo whatever the state she's in.
Can we see her?
Yes. Yes, of course. Come with me. He gets up slowly, and he leads you from the atrium down a metal plank to another room that opens up after he scratches kind of with his hand and puts in a marking into this stone that kind of is like an access key of sorts, creating a glyph that allows the door to open and unlock. And walking through into a dimly lit room on a gurney that is covered by a crystal half-circle shell, you see the body of Delilah lying, resting, as there are machines that aren't being used, but there is a bit of a ward circling around the entire thing, like a protective barrier. And it kind of just glows at what the rate of a heartbeat would be.
Does it look like whatever has her down is something physical that she needs to recover from, or something mental, or potentially spiritual?
It's hard to tell. Right now, she just looks like she's sleeping.
Truth be told, I was kind of hoping that Doc would have been with you lot. They might have been
We
able
got
to figure out.
separated.
That's unfortunate.
Silas, I'm so sorry.
So am I.
I failed you.
I can't take all that credit. He takes a deep breath and turns to Clinton Hiltwick after looking at Delilah. He says, if anything, You could start talking about before all this. You could start talking about, and he grabs the shoulder of his duster and rips the sleeve off, showing the mark of death that is branded on his arm that he woke up with in the Institute. You can
Smash.
start telling me how the hell this shit got here. You could tell me what it has to do with all these blood-sucking sons of bitches outside. No offense, Ichabod.
Ichabod is barely reacting, so none listened.
Has Silas ever shown that to us?
No.
I think Sister
It's-
Mira and Ivara have only seen signs of it, but this is the first time that it is fully
Bar was there when
visible.
Silas woke up and saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I
she's
thi-
seen the whole shebang. She
Yeah.
saw him shirtless.
Right. We're all waiting for it.
Typical Ivara.
Look,
Smash.
Ivara's seen a lot of people shirtless.
I
Sing.
know. But yeah, other than that, for
Nature of the
sure,
job.
the only... Actually, anybody who was paying attention would have seen it light up during the fight with the Lord of Blades, because that was the first time they'd actually used it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I
So
believe that I
it's,
described that it burned through the bandages that he had over it.
Smash.
Silas, there's a lot of things that we are overdue for speaking to each other about. One of which, as he uncuffs his sleeve and begins to roll it up, is how not dissimilar you and I are. And you see the same markings, as if they were emblazoned upon him as well. I would also love for you to give me a perception check. Just
Okay.
Silas. And I will say it is with advantage, because you are watching intently at the man who was formerly a mentor to you.
You bet it is intent. Perception. Okay. All right. That one is cocked. That's a 13.
Silvery barbs.
You want me to roll lower, you cock?
Wait, no, wait.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Damn. Well, son of a bitch. Guess
I was
what?
gonna say, like-
Holiday is holding on to an inspiration for what I don't remember, but you can have it.
I would say you keep onto it because it was enough. Don't worry. I'm going to
Okay.
message you something, sir.
You love messages.
Lore, 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 lore.
By the way, KJ got you. We see the baby. I got it. No worries.
Yeah, we saw the baby. I reposted the baby.
He's sleeping,
Baby is
KJ.
alive. Alive? Alive?
The baby's
Alive.
sleeping. Don't disturb.
Yeah, mostly, at least.
Oh, this whole thing is just so saucy. I love it.
And y'all are ready to shoot Holiday over here.
Hey, things have been tense, dude. Things have been tense. I know Alfie knows that, but Holiday don't know shit.
Tarzan, you say we were ready to shoot Holiday, but why did Holiday walk into the middle of a firing range is the question. So really,
I'm just gonna say the vibes of you coming out of the darkness of a place that we were about to lay siege to, looking like a fucking badass with a goddamn cigarette and everything, go well. It is my old brother of the arcade, you know. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, I'm about to have a fucking gunfight in the hallway with Holiday Luckfoot.
Hey, there's still time.
There is still time.
Oh
So-
dear God, this is so nerve wracking.
Message received, Mr. St. Gregory.
Okay.
It'll buff out.
With that in mind, he maintains eye contact with you.
Explain it like I'm 5.
You're never studied.
Never had to.
Eat him.
Somehow, what I did put people in between planes, including her. But we and the rest of us have an ability, it seems, to break through to that and either keep her there and pull everyone else out, or get rid of her should everyone show up at the same time. And that means basically finding a way to use what our Witch of Wormwatch has to reverse engineer with her chaos magic what the bulwark did. Using some ingenuity and cleverness from the rest of you, this town might have a chance to be saved.
No pressure.
Sadly, Miss Ivara, our kind thrive on pressure.
Trust me, darling, I know. I fucking know.
Sal's is gonna nod. He's gonna look back and forth between Clinton and Ivara, and then Holiday, and everyone else one at a time. And he's gonna look around at everything that's been down here, almost as if he's taking inventory. And the last thing that he looks at before talking up is Delilah. And he lingers there for just a moment before taking a deep breath, letting out a sigh, and looking at Clinton Hillwick. Well, I hope you made coffee.
And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Woo! Loved it.
So, intentions have been made, plans have been put out, but none have been made. And then an old ally reveals himself to once again be willing to fight. But what holds in the future for this group? We'll find out in 2 weeks when we come back for episode 4. Scales being weighed. You'll find out what that means and more on the next episode of Frontiers of Eberron. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please make sure to follow us online at To Be Diced ADV. We are on all the social medias. We're getting to Threads eventually. Don't worry, we will be there. And you can find us, of course, with our on-demand episodes on the YouTube channel, which is at To Be Diced ADV as well. We will see you next time when our next broadcast is this Tuesday for the Star Wars RPG, GM'd by none other than Daddy Tarzan himself. On behalf of the wonderful Wormwatch cast, I've been Michael St. Gregory, your GM. Thank you for watching. We will catch you next time when it's time to be diced.